Welcome everybody to the 2020 Latin America Fixed webinar. Presentations and discussions will be held in Spanish. English speakers can follow the instructions on the screen to listen to interpretation using the bottom right option in the Zoom application. Closing comments from Jim Northey will be offered in English. Bienvenidos al Fixed Webinar LATAM.
Welcome to our Fixed Webinar LATAM 2020. We will be having a conversation in Spanish. You can choose Spanish for comments at the end and questions addressed by Jim. Deborah, would you like to go to slide 3? I will be making a brief presentation of our sponsor. So these are the instructions to set the language correctly. Good morning and welcome again. My name is Diego Anfosi. I'm the Delivery Director of TradeHelm. We are a company who has been providing IT services for more than 10 years. And we're proud to sponsor this webinar today. I will need a few minutes to explain the service and the reason why we're here today. TradeHelm provides with Argentine and Latin talent professional teams for different companies for their projects. For CME, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange and Climate Corporation, a subsidiary of Monsanto, Bayer that helps farmers in LATAM to plan their daily activities using sensors, big data, AI, including the stock exchange and SPL that supports fixed standard. We have more than 50 companies. We provide services for more than 50 companies, and we provide QA analysts, testers, PMs, DevOps, cloud experts, and many others. For LATAM and US clients, we do them in the same time zone. We work with customers in many industries, but we started in financial services and capital markets. We're based in the US. We started collaborating with the local broker systems, trading platforms, investment platforms. Our teams have created multiple platforms. They have worked with cryptocurrencies and they have developed algorithms. We have automated the traders' work thanks to our Bloomberg expertise, and we have taken many services to the cloud thanks to our partnership with AWS. Many of our customers have been with us for more than 12 years, and the same our more than 300 employees. We have recently become part of the Keisha group that gathers advanced technology companies and provides combined services to our 1,000 clients all over the world. Deborah, would you like to go to slide 6, please? There we have our contact data. And now, after that, I will invite you to know more about us on www.tradehelm.com or find us on the media. This webinar is a milestone because we're back in Latin America after 4 years with our webinars. We do this with support of BIM and Fixed Protocol. Today, we're going to discuss the situation of the LATAM exchanges. We're with Alejandro Ruiz from Caja Valores and BIM Argentina. We have Andrés Arracha from the Santiago Exchange in Chile and Rodrigo Nachore from BIS3 Brazil.
Y vamos a tener también un cierre de lujo.
Also going at the end, we're going to have the closer by Jim, where it's a pleasure for us, and he will be comparing the reality in the US, Europe, and here, and how they face the challenges we're experiencing. We are very thankful for joining. If you want, you can go to Q&A Zoom function in Zoom for questions, and we will try to address some of them at the end. We advise that you use the chat for technical issues, and we will try to help you. This event is being recorded, and we will have the policy not to reproduce any comment before prior consent is given. So once again, thank you for joining this talk. Thank you, Rodrigo from B3, for speaking Spanish. This is a webinar organized by Fixed Protocol, so I think it's a great starting point thinking on the adoption of Fixed. So Andrés from Santiago or Chile, how are you using Fixed today at the Santiago Stock Exchange? Hello, Diego. Thank you very much for this invitation to this webinar. This year, it's been 10 years using Fixed infrastructure. So the use of Fixed has been highly successful. We use it in equity, recently for fixed income too, and for the derivatives market with the futures instruments. We are launching the options market, which is also something, an area where we are adopting Fixed. Mostly we use it for market data distribution. We also have drop copy product for our customers and DMA, of course, direct market access, which is highly used, especially for the routing through all over the world. I would like to make a comment here. We have approximately more than 1,700 terminals connecting directly to our platform, terminals that have an interface, a trading interface provided by us. But we also connect through routing networks, and there we reach practically every single continent, more than 43 countries. We get to more than 43 countries with our information through this routing network, such as Bloomberg and others. So that's how we handle our market data products. In general, if I think of figures, I want to highlight the introduction of the fixed income market with fixed protocol. As I said, we started last year. Bloomberg is one of the main vendors that distributes fixed income information using these mechanisms all over the world. For fixed income, the Santiago Exchange trades approximately 5.2 billion USD daily. This is a significant figure, and the reason is mainly that because of regulatory requirements in Chile, pension funds have to deal with fixed income through the exchange for rate purposes for bonds and money market. In terms of equity, as I was saying, we've been using this protocol for 10 years already. Actually, the MILA, the Integrated Latin American Market, that is the relationship, helps us in the relationship with Peru, Colombia, and Chile. They use 6434 for real-time trading and for distribution market data. And Mexico joined also the MILA, with this distribution network. So the use of fixed is quite widespread and so far highly successful in our exchange. I want to highlight on volumes you mentioned. And let me ask you, Rodrigo, in what's the situation in B3 Brazil? Having a significant growth in volume and a market as volatile as the Brazilian market. Hello, Diego. Thank you. And hello to the other colleagues, Andres, Alejandro. Hello. Well, Diego, you said I was going to speak Spanish, but I need to say I will do my best, but I will be surely making lots of mistakes. So I'm very sorry to all of you.
Esta charla. Mucho gusto y es un honor.
Nice to meet you, and it's a real pleasure for me to join you here to share ideas, experiences with all of you. Thank you very much for the invitation. Talking about the volatility and volumes, it has been increasing in 2020 because of the uncertainties brought about by the COVID pandemic. This has imposed a challenge to our infrastructure, our systems, and our processes. Apart from the pandemic, the Brazilian economy today has the lowest interest rate in history, in our history. And inflation is quite low too. We hope that we can keep it controlled. This combination has brought investors to the stock market. So we have more investors on the stock market because they're looking for greater returns for their investments. More investors, so the algorithms need to work further. So it's a perfect combination, more volume of trades. Now I will share some figures with you to illustrate what I'm explaining. Since its creation more than 20 years ago, the market protection mechanism in Brazil called circuit breaker, I think you have something similar in Chile or even in Argentina. We have activated this mechanism 23 times so far. And in 2020, 6 times in 1 month. This is for you to have an idea of how volatility is here. Before 2020 carnivals, the greatest number of trades in one day was approximately 6 million trades. Daily average was about 4 million trades at that moment. At the beginning of March, with the onset of the pandemic, these figures changed significantly to 11.9 million top number of trades and 330 million messages processed in the platform. The daily average reached 9 million trades a day. So it has been a significant growth, as you can see. In November, the record, we hit record with 12.1 million trades in a single day. So this includes equity and derivatives. Within this context, we strengthen the importance of planning and to work continuously on the capacity of our platform. Here at B3, we have a dedicated team. We test different scenarios, different environments, and we develop tools, indicators, and with methodologies to test the systems. The result of these tests shows where we need to invest to have the appropriate capacity to support the growth of volumes we are experiencing these days. A good example for you to see of where to invest to have an appropriate platform for the volumes we are dealing with is binary messages based on fixed community standard. We plan to develop these on the platform in a short time. The same as they do in other exchanges in the world, because of the number and the size of messages are quite significant for the processing capacity of the system today. So if messages are small, the system will be able to process more messages. Adoption of the binary protocol will be optional for customers. So I think our main concern today is capacity, especially if we think of a protection mechanism for the market. Thank you, Rodrigo. Your Spanish has been great. We've talked with Jim about fixed binary. That is, many exchanges in the region are interested in this, and I think Jim will be addressing this topic. Now, I would like to ask you, Alejandro, about the situation with BIMA, the Buenos Aires Stock Exchange. I've witnessed your concern regarding volumes and how to react to the things that have happened this year. What's happening? What's the status, adoption status of fixed, and what's the status today for Caja de Valores BIMA? Thank you, Diego, for the invitation. It's a pleasure for me to share this with Andres and with Rodrigo. So thank you very much. And I hope we can have a good time and share experiences. We were ready for a difficult year. We knew that Argentina, because of the new government, there was going to be a change. The former government more in favor of the markets, but the new government was going to have more control, state control. So we expecting this. Actually, the previous government had announced a renegotiation of the debt, Argentina debt. So with these signals, there are some alerts to investors, and investors get a bit worried, concerned. Also, our central bank had a limited number of reserves, and that we have a tradition in Argentina for people saving in US dollars. So all these cost created a combination. We expected a difficult 2020. We never expected that on top of this, we are going to have a virus. And Argentina also decided to have one of the longest quarantines and longest economic recessions all over the world. So this meant a year with a high volatility, huge volatility. We have tripled, or even our messages and volumes have grown 4 times, not in Rodrigo's volumes, because it's like the Argentine capital market is much smaller. As we said, Rodrigo was saying low interest rate cost make investors look for investors in the capital markets. Here in Argentina, when interest rates are low, real terms, of course, it doesn't go hand in hand with inflation. Investors here go to the US dollar. Despite all this, we had 2 instruments on the market. One, which allows the trading of US dollars through the capital markets using fixed income bonds, and this has grown significantly. It was a way between private to buy US dollars without affecting central bank reserves and without affecting the official US dollar rate for foreign trade transactions. This type of trade has increased naturally significantly because it was something very sought for. And the other item is that we had the possibility of trade Argentine depository receipts in Argentine pesos. This is a way of trading American stocks. That's quite good, because if the Argentine economy doesn't look very promising, you can use your Argentine pesos to buy Amazon stock, Apple stock. You're hedging your position in this economy, which is, well, and we can, it also allows investors to follow a US dollar instrument. So this has increased, CDRs, Argentine depository receipts have increased 25%. In our history, FIX is more recent. We started speaking of FIX in 2013. Our regulator, the CMV, promoted the use of FIX. And for us in particular, we were at that point, we were changing our systems. We used to have a proprietary platform. We had a fixed gateway to comply with the regulator requirements. And at that point, we were implementing the London Stock Exchange platform, Millennium. We finished that project in 2017. And at that point, we have 20,000 trades per day, 40,000 messages per day. Today, or actually last year, we ended with 60,000 trades a day. And today we have tripled values, or even the values have gone 4 times. And during these 3 years since we started with the new trading system, Millennium, we saw that the whole system, ecosystem, traders, developers, everybody kind of jumped to this new modality. So in only 3 years, from 2017 until now, we're fully on FIX. We started a bit late, so we're on FIX 5. And our ecosystem has about 5-6 large vendors who are all working on FIX, developers or algorithms who only know of FIX. And our native terminals are also fully fixed terminals. So thinking of equity and fixed income options too, everything is fixed. It's only fixed. 5.0, fixed 5.0. And our vendors have also adjusted to this process quite fast. We moved from proprietary systems, and now all vendors today are on the fixed world already. So as an experience, it's been quite good. Maybe when we adopt new technology a bit late, it's too mature, it's too developed already. And there is a lot of knowledge already distributed on the market.
Alejandro.
Por suerte no estaba en mute. Okay.
But
Alejandro.
I was on mute. Oh, good. Alejandro, let me ask you now something else. I want to ask you about different investment options you've mentioned. Where did investors go for protection? Something that has been mentioned recently is cryptocurrencies. Do you have any initiative for cryptocurrencies in your agenda? And Bima today, and then I will make the same question to Andrés and Rodrigo.
No comment. No. Mira.
Well, let me tell you. Until a few years ago, I was lucky to travel to Chile every year, and I had some time to visit Andrés. We had coffee together. We talked. Andrés was a bit more advanced. I am more in the day-to-day handling. And so a few years ago, 7 years ago, Andrés told me, you have to study blockchain. When it was July, August, 7 years ago, it was in Santiago, and he told me, you have to study blockchain. And it was quite good because we started quite early with the knowledge of blockchain. We had run several pilots. At this moment, we have 2 products related to our depository, not so much with the market, but it's products that use blockchain. One is one of the most basic applications that is use blockchain as to strengthen electronic signatures, taking advantage of the properties of blockchain added to electronic signatures. So it's politically the same as a digital signature. Then we have another product that is quite successful that we're using tokens.
Todavía no estamos aprovechando esa capacidad.
We're not leveraging this capacity in terms of the business, but you know, when you open the lid and you see what's inside, you see that inside you have tokens based on blockchain. Regarding trading of cryptocurrencies, at some points, well, you know, the regulator is analyzing this. So far, as a market, we are not adopting cryptocurrencies because there is no definition. It's not defined as an instrument that can be traded on the market. So there are some pending definitions. It's not clear if it's a commodity and investment instrument. So this is a discussion that needs to take place. It's a reality. There are lots of people investing their savings in this type of instrument. Well, actually, it's not an instrument. I have to change the word instrument. This type of thing. Let's call it a thing. Thank you, Alejandro. Now I would like to make the same question to Rodrigo. And actually, now, as you said, we're not talking only about cryptocurrencies, but about blockchain technology. And I'm sorry if I anticipate the answer, Rodrigo, but I know that in Brazil, you also have some regulatory limitations for cryptocurrencies. Would you like to share, Rodrigo, the status in Brazil? Well, Diego, you know, in Brazil, the regulators are not in favor of this. If we continue monitoring the market and we see the initiatives related to this, we see some movement on the market, but we're still away. We don't get involved in this discussion for the moment. But when we talk about technology, blockchain technology in Brazil, especially in capital markets, there is, what can I call it, a solution that is using blockchain, and we are even using blockchain, and we think it is highly appropriate. This is the operations, for example, for recording securities, debt securities. We have an issuer, and this security can be used as you can use this debt security, and blockchain technology connects the different depositories to ensure that it is a unit. So this type of solution using blockchain, we think is highly appropriate. We have actually 2 different examples of solutions of using blockchain in Brazil, that involve our participation.
Gracias, Rodrigo. Y ahora Andrés.
Thank you, Rodrigo. Now, Andrés, well, Alejandro has already said you're his sort of guru in blockchain and digital assets. So, well, can you share us some of your initiatives? I'm not a guru at all.
Es casi el Yoda.
It's you're mostly like Yoda, practically, more than a guru. The Yoda in Star Wars. It's like our spiritual guide. No, by no, I hope I can come up to your expectations. Well, actually, we're seeing a turning point in the use of cryptocurrencies in the whole world, especially with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the one that highlights from the rest because of market capitalization. And actually, it calls our attention because it's highly compared with digital gold. It's with gold. It's called the digital gold. Bitcoin is following market trends, and this calls our attention. That is, it has higher volatility, but the turning point I was mentioning is that this year, for the first time in history, listed companies such as MicroStrategy invest part of their holdings in Bitcoin. This is not a minor thing. We are thinking of investments of $250,000. And there is a high complexity in having $250,000 in a ledger, in a token at home. It would be quite complex. So we all know you lose passwords, or passwords are shared and you lose the Bitcoin. So now we see that highly traditional entities such as Fidelity are already enabling custody services for cryptocurrencies to solve the issues related to the fact that investors, traditional investors, to call them somehow as listed companies, start investing in this type of assets. So there is a need to offer custody services for this type of assets. So I think that the regulator we only have the tax agency in Chile regulating that cryptocurrencies have to pay income tax. That's very clear. But beyond this, no, there is no other regulation. But the regulators now, this year we see big progress in the BIS, for example, together with different central banks. They started running concept tests to issue digital fiat money with this technology, with some sort of backup support. So this means that the transformation processes we can have at exchanges, I would say it's the holy grail for the use of its clearing and settlement, which are experiences that are already in place in the Australian exchange or the Swiss exchange. Today, as Rodrigo was saying, and as Alejandro was saying, we trade enormous quantities. We buy and sell in milliseconds. In milliseconds, we are exchanging debt. In milliseconds, we are exchanging equity. But for the money to reach the person and to get the securities to get to the other person, we usually take 2 days. It's like if you send a parcel on Amazon. Amazon distributes your parcel faster. If you have Amazon Prime, it's even faster. But as a market, we need 2 days to do this exchange. So I think blockchain is a big possibility for taking these 2 days to maybe 2 seconds. So instead of T2, we need to move to seconds. The fact that fiat money exists in this type of network or this type of connection with the possibility of exchanging, it will make clearing and settlement more efficient, and we'll see very interesting things. At our exchange, I think we were the first market to have a solution based on blockchain. We started with a securities lending program. It helped us make a short selling process faster. If a customer was contacting a broker for the first time, they took 4 days to have everything ready to start trading in short selling. And now we have decreased this to 90 seconds. So this means bigger volumes, 100% more volumes. This is the kind of thing we see with these technologies. And this year, we could organize more than 40 annual general meetings remotely. In March, April, we have AGMs in Chile. Until 2019, they were all people had face-to-face AGMs. Now, because of the lockdown this year, and thanks to a development we did with our central depository in Chile that manages the list of companies and a startup company that joined that. It's NOARCA based in Boston. We started developing these AGMs, virtual AGMs, and I think this is a phenomenon that is here to stay. The key thing here is this is natural evolution. We are working with our central depository and together the exchange and the CCLV, and depository custody. It's like the three entities that make the backbone of our capital market. And, then we have a technology legs that helped us create a technology consortium based on blockchain, and we are going public next week. The official announcement will be made in a few days. We've worked quite hard to build this ecosystem where companies from all over the world, for example, TradeHelm, if you want to develop blockchain-based applications, the idea is this ecosystem can host technology companies. We are inviting consultants such as Deloitte, Price, that type of profile, Accenture, and so on. But also startups who have very fast products developed. And we're moving to decentralized finance. Our ecosystem looks to be under a fully regulated environment, of course, leverage all these technologies and take it to the benefit of the market. This is what I can tell you in this sense about the situation here. Great, congratulations.
Diego, ¿puedo añadir
I would like to add something, Diego, if possible. Just a quick comment to what Andres has said. When we speak of settlement and solutions with blockchain, and Andres, if I understand you correctly, you said that there is a possibility to shorten the period, the settlement period, to go from 2 days to something instant. But here I want to mention two things, food for thought. One is when we speak of settlement, we have to consider netting, and the equity market. For equity market, netting is a very important point for trades. Why? Because it is difficult to imagine that we have the capacity to move the shares with the same speed as the algorithms, at the same speed as algorithms trade. So netting, in my opinion, will be something highly important to address in this market. And it doesn't go hand in hand with an instant settlement solution. And secondly, trades. It is an important liquidity mechanism for markets. If with settlement, immediate settlement, we have some type of we have some difficulty for day trades. This is just something to think about and try to help to contribute to this discussion. You're right, Rodrigo. The two things you mentioned are things that we need to think out of the box. So the inclusion of processes based on blockchain implies effort we need to rethink the things we're doing, and it's not just digitalizing things with technology and do things the same way. I've been discussing with people in 6 in the Switzerland Stock Exchange, they have this project, which is in a quite advanced stage, and something that is curious and also happens in our market, they made up a parallel company with 30 people. 15 of them were engineers, people who had to develop the project, and the other 15 were lawyers. Why? Because of all the legal transformations you need to implement as thinking out of the box. And one of the important things here is if you think of settlement and clearing, is totally different from the legal viewpoint. If you think of depository exchange, you have to comply with certain legal restrictions, regulatory restrictions. And when you think of netting, we're thinking of the way that things are done today. But apart from netting, you have bilateral settling, which are not possible today because you need the two parts to agree. But when you identify the peers on the network, one way to think out of the box is to go to bilateral settlement among peers who are interacting on the network, given the speed of settlement and clearing. You reduce risks, counterparty risks. We all know that there is a high risk associated to having pending settlement instructions for the pending settlement trades for 2 days. So if you decrease this, you reduce the risk. These are, if you think of collateral and so on, it's essential. If you reduce the risk, you reduce the cost for the market. But as you say, Rodrigo, we need to think of a new way of trading that is totally different. So great, what you mentioned is really part of the solution to this issue.
Hay un tema que está
another thing that is sort of related with this in the sense that we also, that it has to do with decentralization of processes and many things that we are used to doing one way on the capital markets, and maybe now these things will be changing. That is the cloud. How can we use cloud systems? And maybe we'll start wondering if we need to start migrating to cloud. What would be the advantages and disadvantages? Here, I would like to ask Rodrigo to share what they've been, what they have in this regard. Thank you, Diego. I think when we speak of the cloud, it's one of the things that people it's one of the most challenging things for CIOs, because as I always say, there is sort of universal truth that the cloud is something that can bring lots of benefits for businesses. In B3, actually, we have worked a lot on this. As I said, if you consider volatility, volumes, platform performance, we've worked a lot in this regard. And the same thing, I think, happens at other exchanges. We speak a lot of the benefits of the cloud for companies, such as flexibility to escalate systems automatically, the possibility to have a structure for a contingency structure that is more effective, more efficient, more transparent, probably too. The reduction of costs, why not? And the opportunity to create new business and new ecosystems too. This is why this year we have studied the adoption of the cloud on the stock markets, in the infrastructures of financial markets. We've done this with the support of a global consulting firm. We understand that the cloud still is not exactly a reality for the systems, for the trading systems. Only 20% of the companies involved in this study are what we call early adopters. 40% of the companies are only introducing the cloud, but not for the systems across the board, only for some of them, the most relevant. And the other are what we call laggards or observers. We have some important obstacles for adopting the cloud as a whole with low latency systems and high performance. For example, the technology for message interchange. It is not available on the cloud today. And another obstacle is the system architecture, legacy system architecture. Legacy systems are not prepared for the cloud. So rebuilding these systems, these legacy systems, is a hard and expensive task. That's why it must be done only in a timely manner. Another important point here is the cost of heavy traffic of data. We are speaking of very large quantities of messages that are changed among the systems daily. So the cost of this traffic of messages, how it can impact on business and trades. So far, when we speak of the cloud or trading systems on clouds, we need to be very careful. But we think that the reality will be changing in the coming years. Now, maybe we can start thinking of planning how and when we can migrate the trading systems to cloud systems. This is my opinion in this topic. Thank you, Rodrigo. I'm not sure, Alejandro, Andres, would you like to make any comment on the cloud? Alejandro, I know you have pioneered at Caja de Valores to adopt some cloud with a little help of your of your friends at TradeHelm. Was there anything you want to share?
En la dirección correcta,
well,
no hacia
you helped us in the right way. You pushed us in a positive sense. Well, my experience is similar to Rodrigo's. Sometimes you don't see it quite well, but as you know, I come from an ATM company where I used to work with millions of trades per day since my very beginning. The other day, we saw 2 million messages, market data per minute. This matches what Rodrigo was saying. The number of messages, the volume traded is very high. The latency requirements are very high too. It's just a few milliseconds. So we think still the conditions are not good enough, at least for the more generalist vendors. As I was saying, for me, if I'm on the home banking, for me it's the same. If I have to make a transfer at home, it's the same minutes or seconds. But for us, for our industry, it's totally different. It's like electric cars. 10 years ago, electric cars were just for driving around the city. Today, you can drive more than 500 kilometers with an electric car. So we will be supporting non-core things, such as we have implemented together with your help at TradeHelm, but we think that at some point the conditions will be ready, maybe for bigger markets such as Big Three, but maybe for us, the future is closer. I share what you're saying. We also provide back office systems for brokers in Santiago. There we have moved to cloud even more because it's quite fast to provide these services. It's very good for back office services are good for cloud. And also the blockchain networks, we have used cloud services. Today we use Isolated Fabric, which is practically available in every single cloud. We're focusing on Microsoft Azure and AWS mainly, and IBM Cloud too. This is our experience, and the experience has been quite good so far. But trading, I agree with my colleagues, Alejandro and Rodrigo, that we need more time to make progress in trading. Thank you, Andres. Now, I would like to have one more round of free comments for you to share to make a closing comment. And then I will start with you, Andres, because you were the first one before. So if you want to make a final comment, your closing words. Well, in every webinar, I take the opportunity first to welcome and to acknowledge all the technical and commercial supports at the Santiago Exchange. In these times of pandemic, they have adapted really well to 100% remote work, and the service has been very high quality for the customers, and we have our market hasn't had any interruption, any issues, and as our colleagues, we have even increased volumes. We had to cater for increased volumes. So that's a thing I want to mention. Regarding challenges for 2021, mainly they have to do with the options market. We are launching, we are working a lot on this. Some brokers are leading implementation in the time of the pandemic, 100% remote implementation with back office issues, risk and everything. So it's a high challenge for us to continue with this project remotely. It's been an enormous challenge, and I think we're making a lot of progress. But this is mainly, this has to do with the transformation of processes. We used to have old processes, but also new opportunities for business. We want to use blockchain, for example, for the securities market, identifying the people, the participants, and start having tokenized assets to this market. Why not dream of participating in a market, in a mortgage market or real estate market with tokens? So that these markets that today are so slow and they have complex price formation processes, if we move to this, of course, it means having regulatory changes, but somebody has to start taking the lead. So it's an initiative we want to take for this type of topics. Thank you, Andres. Now, Alejandro, your comment, whatever you want to say. And let me go back to FIX. Argentina has 250 brokers. We have, because of the cost and the size of the business, we have a lot of infrastructure that we provide with our terminals. The adoption of algorithmic tracking and DMAs has been quite fast, but we think the OMS will take longer to be adopted. So our situation, our current situation of more than 1,300 points connected for distribution of market data, this puts us in a position. Next year, we'll be working on optimizing market data. So the experience B3 is having with binaries is one of the paths we are analyzing. We need to see the special architecture because it's 2 million messages per minute. We have conflated, and but we think if we have this same webinar in a year, we will maybe thinking of 4 or 5 million messages per minute. So for us, the challenge lies with market data. Also, we have about 10,000, actually 9,000 instruments that are available for trading, which are the result of some specific things that happen in Argentina, such as having multiple trading settlement cycles or multiple currencies. So the queries sometimes are quite hard because maybe to make a query, you have to make a single query is 50,000 messages. So market data is a big challenge here for a market with a lot of connectivity, a market that is growing very fast, and we also want to keep low investment cost because the industry is not all brokers can make big investments. And something we are working a lot on also is move post-trading to FIX. We keep, because of compatibility reasons, and not to make brokers go crazy and not to make vendors go crazy, back office vendors, we are converting drop copy. If those who want drop copy for postgrad will have it, but we are converting we are trying to facilitate. We will be building tools, maybe we will distribute free code, but the idea is that everybody moves to fix in the future. This is our agenda for 2021, and everything related to blockchain is part of our agenda too. Great. We want to do everything. Now, Rodrigo, for his final comment before listening to Jim. Thank you, Diego. Well, my final comment is that at B3, we have 5 objectives, 5 strategic objectives for technology. These are modernization of technology, capacity of performance, so that we can make it possible to work with all the growth in volumes that we have experienced in 2020, and we also expect 2021 to have even more volume, more business, more investors at the stock exchange. So as I said before, we need to be very alert on this. We need to test permanently. We need to develop our platforms so that the market can grow a lot. Also, innovation, whenever it's possible to have new technologies for the clients to get benefited. We need to benefit customers with new opportunities and new ways of doing business. Then governance and people is the 4th pillar of our strategy. We need to grow. We need to increase the knowledge of the people in new technologies. And the people need to know more the technology, and also governance of technology. We need to understand the processes and what we need to change so that we can deliver things fast. And finally, security. But last but not least, security. Cybersecurity is something that is highly critical today, especially because of the pandemic. Everything is, the hackers are faster than we are. Hackers always find a way to attack companies in a way that is very fast. And also here we need to be very alert. Today we have a news that Friday has been cyber attacked. This worries us a lot. A lot of companies use this platform as a way of protecting their systems. So as we can see, hackers are more sophisticated each day, and we need to be on the lookout. Also, I hope that this webinar has been useful for everybody. I don't know if this is the right moment, but I would like to wish you a 2021 that is much better than 2020. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all. Thank you, Rodrigo. Okay, these are our final comments. Now we have some questions. We don't have enough time to answer, but I will reply the questions personally on the Q&A window. And now, as I said, thank you all, Alejandro, Andres, and Rodrigo. Thank you to the 3 of you for participating. And now we'll ask Jim to make his final comments, as we have promised.
Oh, thank you, Diego. And I'd like to thank TradeHelm for helping us to arrange this event, and congratulations to you and Acacia. And then I'd also like to thank B3 and Bolsa de Santiago for their years of leadership in bringing FIX and standards to Latin America. And we're very pleased that Caja de Valores in Argentina has now joined this leadership group with their adoption of the high quality Millennium IT trading platform. So thank you. Today, I'd like to talk about some just industry trends and update you on the FIX standard, and I'll try to be very quick. First, I would like to just want to talk about our high performance protocols, and this is particularly relevant for Latin America this year. Then I want to talk about our ISO standardization of FIX, our use of FIX Orchestra to address operational efficiencies, and just talk a bit about how FIX is being extended into post-trade area, and then word on FIX and digital assets, and then a comment on digital currencies. So first, one of the things I'd like to recognize is that about 10 years ago, with leadership from B3 and CME, we created our high performance working group. And we specifically wanted to address the requirements for high volume exchanges. That work resulted in the creation of the simple binary encoding of messages and the fixed performance session layer. Our goal here was to provide something that was competitive and superior to any proprietary exchange binary interface, and also to something that would be superior to the existing NASDAQ protocol, such as Ouch and Itch. And we've accomplished that. And SBE was really designed for ultra high performance, and we see the Chicago Mercantile Exchange has adopted this for market data and are working on using this for order entry as opposed to creating a proprietary interface. And we're very pleased that B3 is doing something similar in Latin America. So we want to thank them for their choice. So simple binary encoding can work with any session layer, but our fixed P session layer was specifically designed for market data distribution and the high volume requirements for a modern exchange environment that sees high frequency trading and algorithmic trading where FIX suffers. So that was one point I wanted to. The next point I wanted to talk about was ISO standardization of FIX. And what we've done is prompted by China and also MiFID II, which were regulations in Europe, both organizations are insisting on having ISO standards from the International Organization of Standards, of which Brazil is our only Latin American member. And so we rewrote our FIX session layer specification to be compliant with the ISO guidelines. And we've now submitted that as an ISO standard 3531. And we would like to hopefully have support from Latin America for FIX as an ISO standard. The ballot closes in January 2021. And so just to say it again, that FIX has been involved in promoting the FIX standard and representing the electronic trading community within ISO Technical Committee 68 on financial services for about 15 years now. And we would like to see more participation. And one way that could be achieved is through membership in the FIX organization. People from other Latin American countries that may not be ISO members could actually join and participate in ISO standardization as well. Then, so that's ISO standardization. Then the next thing I want to talk about real quick is we have a electronic readable version of the specification that was known as the Unified Repository. Now we're moving to where we have a new version called FIX Orchestra, which allows us to document in a machine readable manner messages, fields, message flows at the scenario level. This is all available in open source to the community. And what we learned is that in addition to this XML file representation of a fixed service offering, we also created a GitHub Markdown version. And on the next slide, you can see the difference. These are actually both machine readable. On the left, you have the XML version of a field, and this happens to be the classic new order single message, as you can see there. And then on the right, you can see a version rendered in GitHub Markdown from that same view. So you could actually write, edit, compose your standard in Markdown, and then have it converted to XML. In addition, we're developing tools that are available to FIX members to be able to read from fixed log files and actually create your standard directly out of the your fixed log files. So we hope that these will be of service to you in Latin America in the future. And that brings us to seeing what the fixed stack looks like right now. As you can see here, this is the fixed family of technical standards. We've really collapsed down our standards to being fixed 4.2, fixed 4.4, and fixed latest. Fixed latest is everything that's been approved in fix, which can be run over the fixed 4.4 transport or over the fixed T transport. And we have those shown below. We've unified our fixed session layer standard, and notice all the different ways you can encode your messages now. Tag value, simple binary encoding, JSON, Google Protocol buffers, FixML. So there's a number of ways you can represent your messages. And with the new fixed P session layer, which we developed very closely with B3 starting back in 2010, you can run that over the internet over WebSockets and over WebSockets technology. So next, I want to talk briefly and just share with you that we have many large asset managers in the US and Europe who are extending fix further into post-trade processing of settlement and asset servicing. So we're adding additional capability in this post-trade area that may be of interest throughout Latin America in the coming years. And then the next slide talks about fixed and digital assets. We have a digital assets working group. One of our leaders, Ryan Pierce, was a key contributor to the new ISO standard for digital token identifiers, ISO 24165. We also have recommendations on best practices for using fix for trading digital assets. And I just want to say that really quickly, I want to give some background. Many large banks in the United States are creating digital asset trading desks. Going back to 2008, after the credit crisis, large banks shifted and generated trading and investment revenues off of commodities. And we saw huge increases in the commodity markets following 2008. They did that as the stock market recovered and came back. And then you saw a move from that. Now we have this global pandemic. And because of zero interest rate policies around the globe, we're seeing that the stock markets are receiving large infusions of cash and are becoming overvalued. So where would you invest if you're assuming there may be a large market correction? Well, you can see that commodities are stressed by the pandemic. So digital assets are providing a very attractive alternative for the generation of trading revenues as we come through the consequences of the pandemic. And part of that, you can see that Bitcoin is now already up to $20,000 US. And it's really showing this emergence of this new asset class. So it's something for everyone to pay attention to. What we built for exchanges was a modern interface that would connect over the web using JSON or simple binary encoding, the same fixed messages, but all running over the top of a modern call using fixed P and WebSockets. And we actually published a Conga proof of concept to demonstrate this technology for the community. And we've even thrown in a matching engine as a little extra in that. And then one last thing I'd like to comment on is the emergence of central bank digital currencies. And many people don't think about money. When they think of money and what central banks issue, they think about tokens. They think about coins and bills. And actually, 90% of all money issued by central banks is in electronic form, stored in accounts at trusted institutions. Most money already is digital, but we have large structures of trusted institutions that keep balances or ledgers of those. And so this notion of a central bank digital currency is just adding another form that money can take, and that form being a digital token, which has distributed decentralized trust. Using Andre's words before, it's talking about incorporating within central bank fiat currencies the ability to have decentralized finance in addition to the account balances at trust institutions and tokens. And I would argue that this just gives another representation of money that would be very valuable for central banks. And I believe we will be seeing many banks issuing central bank digital currencies over the next few years. So those are some of the thoughts that I wanted to share with you on what's going on within FIX. And we have very active working groups around FIX Orchestra. We have the high performance working group that's still meeting. So I hope that if you're interested in any of our working groups, that you would contact us at fix@fixtrading.org. And then also, there are many online events that we're having during this period of pandemic. So I would invite you to look at our FIX events on our website to see other topics that may be of interest to you in your work. So with that, I'd like to turn things back over again after saying thanks to all of our great panelists from the great exchanges of Latin America, and also to Diego and TradeHelm, who are supporting many of our exchanges, not only in Latin America, but also in North America as well. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. Just a final thank you to all of you, the speakers, and those who are participating of this webinar. Thank you very much. On behalf of TradeHelm, we are a proud sponsor of this webinar, so thank you again. I hope you found this debate interesting, and I hope to see you soon and again. Thank you very much to all of you.